the Meraglim, the spies came back from Israel and told the Jews, we can't go in. The first Beis HaMikdash was destroyed on Tisha B'Av. The second was destroyed on Tisha B'Av. After that was the fall of Beitar. That was in the revolution of Bar Kochava, Bar Koziva. Beitar fell down. And then finally, the place where the Beis HaMikdash and the surrounding area was all plowed up. Right? They plowed it up just so they would be sure there wouldn't be any memory of where the Holy Temple was. All right, let's go. Ready? What are we supposed to do? Erev Tisha B'Av. That's us. That's right now. Hey, we're here. This is relevant to us right now. You have a Brit, you have a Pidyon Ben. Don't do it now. It's too late. You should try to do it before 12. Don't do anything that's enjoyable. But you got to be serious now. It's a serious time. Now is not the time to go play games. Beginning from midday, which is here about 12:45, you should only learn those parts of the Torah which can be learned on Tisha B'Av. We'll learn what that is later on. Section 4, those who learn everything daily, chitas, try to do it before midday. I didn't do it. We have Rambam to do it. By the way, you can start learning Torah again tomorrow at the same time, 12:45. You can start learning Torah again. We'll get to that. A siyum. It's a custom by Chabad to try to make a siyum every day. So you can make a siyum. Siyum means somebody finishes a tractate of Talmud. It's better to make a siyum on something like Moed Katan or something which has a lot of sad things in it. You should eat and drink sufficiently for the fast, but don't get too happy. Don't get drunk. Don't eat too much. Now, mincha, you should try to daven mincha a little bit early if you can. Leave enough time for the Suda Mafsekets, which we're going to talk about what that is. Now you eat an egg. Interestingly enough, Tisha B'Av is a holiday. It says Kiboam Moed. There's a Moed. It's called a holiday. So we don't say Tachanun on Tisha B'Av from midday on. Okay, then you go back home and you make your, how do you say, the final meal, mafseket. This is what separates from normal eating and not eating at all. Bread and a cold, hard-boiled egg dipped in ashes. That's the best thing. You can drink water, tea, coffee, other things, but you should drink less. You can also have like salad and things like that. You're not supposed to have things that are two cooked dishes. Suda Mafsekas is sitting when you eat, sitting on a low chair or on the ground, but you can still wear leather shoes. Leather shoes you take off in shul. You can wear beforehand if you want, but technically it should be in shul after, right before Mariv. We'll see. We say Shira Malot and Birkat HaMazon. Don't make a zimun. Don't make a zimun together. Don't eat three people together. Before Birkat HaMazon, you should make a clear statement that if I want to eat before the fast, I can. The fast starts at something like 20 minutes to 8. 20 minutes to 8, something like that. That's when the fast begins. And the fast finishes at like 8:07. That's what I saw. It's always printed and there's always different. Everybody has different, but this is what I saw. 20 minutes to 8, that's when the fast starts. After you say Brachas HaMazon, you can sit on a regular chair until Tisha B'Av begins. After we have Plaga Mincha, if you accept it in your mind to begin the fast, who's going to do a thing like that? But you said, I am going to fast from now on, then that's it. You have to fast. You're not allowed to do it, except you can still wear leather shoes. All right, then you go to shul. It's not a good thing to daven at home. Tisha B'Av. I don't, if you want to do it. But Tisha B'Av begins at 7:42. Here you go. See? 7:42, 20 minutes to 8. There's a little bit before this, 20 minutes. In the shul, they take the parochet off of the Aron HaKodesh, or you move it to the side. Usually they throw it over the top or something. You dim down the lights in the shul to make it like a serious thing. The chazan, he can have the regular light so he can see what's going on. After saying the Amida, the chazan says Kaddish, and he says the full Kaddish. And then everybody sits down and they say Eicha. Well, we just finished learning, right? Eicha. You should sit down. Don't say it standing up unless it's very difficult for you. You should have a low chair. The chazan should say it slowly, and a little bit of an interruption between each sentence. And after you finish each chapter, right? There's 5 chapters. So the beginning of each chapter, you raise your voice a little bit. You get a little bit louder, a little tiny bit. You don't. When you finally finish the whole thing, so what I said before, right? You repeat that last sentence. Hashivenu Hashem elecha v'nashuvach charei shemeinu kakedem, and then you repeat it very loud. The whole crowd says Hashivenu Hashem elecha, and then you say keynote. There's this little book called Keynote, which somehow or other I have misplaced mine. I don't know where it is. I remember Rabbi Mendel Futavas never used to buy one. He used to always find one or something. Anyway, there's a little book called Keynote. Kina means to mourn. So there's a Keynote. If you're davening at home or you don't have a minyan or whatever, you should still say Eicha alone and say this keynote, this whole morning thing. In the daytime, there's a lot of keynote. In the daytime, is a whole morning. Then after you finish the whole thing, you say Ata Kadosh. Ata Kadosh, that's what you say after Shabbos. One second, where are we now? Yeah. You say a full Kaddish. You don't say Tiskabel Tzoloson. You say, it's like Kaddish Yatom, you say. And then you say Aleinu. According to the Chabad custom, same thing. You say, a person who's in mourning says the Mishnayos. Okay, some people have the custom, you go home, you sleep on the floor. Some people sleep without a pillow. Some people put a stone under the pillow. You don't have to do this. In Chabad, you don't have to do these things. If you want to, you can do it, but it's not to sleep on the floor, to sleep on the... Learning on Tisha B'Av. You should only learn on Tisha B'Av things which deal with mourning, the destruction of the temple, sad things that happened to the Jews. And also, you shouldn't go into it too deeply. Start learning explanations. Also, don't go ask a Rav questions. You happen to see the Rav, oh, Rav, I got a question about Shabbos. Don't ask him questions that don't have to do with Tisha B'Av. In other words, your mind should try to be at least on the morning. I'll tell you that. I'm sure you know the story of the Rav Nachum of Chernobyl with the young man that threw. Anyway, I'll tell you a couple of stories. Chabad has them written in Seferim and Hugim. Pretty interesting. Just like in the 9 days about being serious on Tisha B'Av. The Chassidim used to sort of, defile the holiday of Tisha B'Av. And I'll remind me, okay, I'll just get when we get to the laws of Tisha B'Av. Just like the other 9 days, you should try to hear a siyum. It's best if it's on something to do with Tisha B'Av, like Moed Katan, we just said that. You have to learn Torah. A Jew has to learn Torah all the time. On Tisha B'Av, you also have to learn the Torah. But you should find things that you learn. There's also the midrashim and laws and things. You should give a little bit more charity if you can do it before Mincha. And it's a custom to give the value of the meals that you're not eating, right? You missed 3 meals on Tisha B'Av, so give the value of those, let's say 18 shekels for each meal, whatever you want. Give to charity. If you want to give to Ohr Tmimim, I won't refuse. So the story is, it says that there was, what was it? The the Rav, the Ruzhner, I think the Ruzhner, the holy Rebbe Miruzhin, Yisrael of Ruzhin, who was a very holy person. But when came Tisha B'Av, so the Chassidim, they really tried to be sort of happy, and they sort of went overboard. Frankly, they went overboard. What do? They somehow or other rigged up this net, and that was attached to like a hook over the door, and the net was on the ground, right, around the ground, and it was attached to a rope on this hook, and when anyone would come in the door, as if the Hasidim wanted to, when he stepped on this net, they would pull the rope and pull him up so that he would be dangling, helpless, with his arms and legs flailing like a couple of feet off the ground. And they would laugh and everything. Well, it happened to be on this Tisha B'Av that, because they didn't want to take Tisha B'Av too seriously. And, okay, were they right or weren't they right? That's what they did. So, I mean, they certainly did it for the sake of heaven. They weren't doing it, just because they just wanted to have a good time. So, it worked a couple of times. The pupils came in, and the friends came in. They with their heads all down and they pulled on this thing and pulled them up. It was yelling and screaming, and then they would let him down again. Just so that he would know. Don't get too much pleasure out of your mourning and your misery. Well, it happened that the Rebbe came in. Usually he would never come that early, but he did. And they didn't notice who it was coming in. I mean, when you catch somebody in these things, you have to do it as soon as he steps through the door without looking and seeing who it is, because he'll catch on. So the Rebbe came in, and immediately they pulled up, and they realized that it was the Rebbe that they had pulled up. Now, the Rebbe was a very, very holy person. He wasn't that type of person. They weren't worried that he was going to get mad at them or angry. That wasn't relevant. But just the honor of it, the shame that they felt. Immediately they realized what it was, and they let the Rebbe down, and they hid. And the Rebbe brushed himself off, and he raised his hands up to heaven, and he said, God, listen, if your children don't know properly how to respect this holiday of Tisha B'Av, so I think you should take it back from them. Take the holiday back. You see, it's not working out. Take the holiday back. So in other words, we shouldn't have any Tisha B'Av. Build the temple, and then they won't destroy the temple. There's another story they tell with Rabbi Nachum of Chernobyl, that he came to the Alter Rebbe. He was also an incredibly holy, serious, genius person. He was good friends with the Alter Rebbe, so he came. He was much older. Eventually, they made a marriage between them. And there was anyway. So he came to the Alter Rebbe. He was there for Tisha B'Av. One of the Alter Rebbe's pupils, whose name was Rabbi Shmuel Munkus, was one of his Chassidim. He was also a genius and a holy person in his own right, but he was also if you want to call it, a joker. And he took these little burrs that they had, like these little, in Israel it used to be a big thing. They've stopped doing it. The kids stopped doing it. We used to have a big tree in front of our house, shishkas. Amazing miracle. They only grow right before Tisha B'Av. What are they? These little hard green, sort of like beans. They grow on a tree, so it's not really beans. And they even have a seed inside, a big seed. And it's really hard. And the covering is this sort of thin green covering. It's really tight. It's like plastic, and it's really hard. And the kids really like throwing it at people. I mean, it really got out of hand. The kids would figure out ways to like make slingshots. Anyway, so those were regular beans, but there's also beans, which I have not seen one of these, that have burrs on them. And they say that in the time of the Alter Rebbe, that the Shmuel Munkus found one of these beans with the burrs, and he threw it at Reb Nachum of Chernobyl, and it landed in his beard, stuck in his beard. And he said, turned to the Alter Rebbe, this is how I heard the story. Maybe there's other versions, but this is how. Turned to the Alter Rebbe and he said, because of young men like that, the temple was destroyed. Good, Alter Rebbe. You know, he knew who this Shmuel Munkus was, and he knew Reb Nachum Chernobyl was a holy person beyond belief. And so it happened. Anyway, afterwards, or maybe it was that evening, whenever it was, he went back, was traveling back, and there was this Shmuel Munkus, the one who threw the burr at him. He was sitting in the middle of the forest, and he was wailing. Some say that there were ants crawling on him. Anyway, he was wailing and crying because of the destruction of the temple. It was still Tisha B'Av in the nighttime. He was crying and wailing. And the Nachum Chernobyl, not knowing that this was the same person, he said, but because of young men like that, the holy temple will be rebuilt. It was the same person. So don't try to catch a rabbi in a net. You know, if you do it to me, I'll appreciate it. But don't throw burrs at other people. People do not appreciate it. Some people get angry. Don't throw burrs. Anyway, try to take the holiday seriously, but not sadly. Seriously. Okay, here we have a few laws of Tisha B'Av. You should give charity, especially if you can't do it before Mincha. What are the laws of Tisha B'Av? Do not is prohibited, forbidden. Do not wear nice clothes or festive jewelry. It was like regular. Don't wear any shoes that have leather on them. Not on the top, not on the bottom. You can wear Crocs or all those other things if you want to. If you have to wear leather for some reason, like you're going to work, you're allowed to work on Tisha B'Av. Yeah, if you have to wear leather, ask your Rav. A real Rav. Every city has their own Rav. It is forbidden to go to the mikveh. This is sort of misleading, right? You have to read this first thing over here. It is prohibited too. If you don't read this, you're really in trouble. Okay? Go to the mikveh. Go to the mikveh, bathe or wash any part of your body in cold water. It is forbidden to do these things, right? You have to remember. It is forbidden to go to the mikveh, to bathe, wash any part of your body, even in cold water. Similarly, you may not wipe yourself with a cloth which is damp enough to moisten what it touches. In other words, you want to rub with one of those, how do they call the things that they use with a child, babies? They have, they have a name for it. They have these cloths that are already pre-wet. They're pre-dampened. You can rinse if it's really necessary, or for medical purposes, or for pain relief, you can wash. You can also rinse if you have something that's soiled, let's say with some sort of filth, but only as much as necessary. You can wash your hands up to the knuckles after you leave the restroom. Your knuckles mean your big knuckles, like your fist, right? And when you make a fist, that's your knuckle. After leaving the restroom, or if you touch some part of your body that's usually covered, you can wash your hands up to your knuckles. That's what they call it, your knuckles. All right. Knuckles is also halfway. That's also okay with knuckles. Well, you can also rinse your hands as usually before and during food preparation. What are you going to prepare food for? After the fast. It's permissible to touch food. There's no muktzah and things like that. On Yom Kippur, there is a thing of muktzah. But nevertheless, you're allowed to prepare food for after the fast. We'll talk about it. All the above can be done with soap. You can wash your hands with soap if you want to. You can also wash dishes, but it's best to do with gloves on. You got to get your hands washed. Don't put on makeup. I don't know why you have to rely on this thing that it says over here. Don't. On Tisha, it is prohibited to, right? It is prohibited to put on makeup. Don't put any ointments on, lotions, perfumes, creams, unless you need it for medical purposes or pain relief. It is forbidden to brush your teeth or even to rinse your mouth. It is forbidden to sit on a normal chair until 1:45 in the afternoon. Unless you're old or you're sick or a pregnant woman, or a woman already gave birth but she's nursing, Or if you have to go somewhere, let's say you're driving to, the hotel, so you can sit in a car. You don't have to sit on the floor and drive. The laws of a man keeping away from his wife should be observed. All those laws, the harchakot, should be observed the whole entire 24 hours of Tisha B'Av. What about greeting people? Hi, how are you? If you should not greet other people, but if someone greets you, you can say hello, that's all. Or you can say, it's Tisha B'Av today. Again, these things don't go overboard on it. Don't have to say, I've seen, Tisha. Just say Tisha B'Av today, we don't say hello. Give gifts. Do not give gifts unless it's charity. Do not study. Do not go to work. You can if you have to, but you shouldn't go to work. Don't do any business activity. Don't do a job that requires concentration, because this will take you away from the morning. He says, even though these technically are totally permissible after midday, 12:45, but it's good the whole 24 hours. Don't do any work. You can do work. Nevertheless, you can do work to prevent a financial loss, or if you'll get fired from your job if you don't go. But then you should try as much as possible to keep it private. You should not tell a non-Jew to work publicly for you. Build that house, fix my car. But you can tell a Jew to do other things that, even if it'll be done in your house, sweep the floor. You have this is very common also in South Africa. They have very common that people have servants, people that help. And some of them are live-in servants and some of them are this. So it's permissible to tell them to do work for you in your house. Don't waste your time. Don't go on trips. Don't read novels. Don't do other pleasurable things. Try not to smoke. If you must smoke, do it in private. Keep it a minimum. Don't smoke in shul. Really, it's better not to smoke ever. You should be careful not to lose your temper on Tisha B'Av. And this should also be in the parentheses. Of course, losing your temper is discouraged in general. That should be written over here. Losing your temper is like, why didn't put it? I don't know. Who should fast? Okay, nowadays with this corona thing, so everybody is big leniencies, and frankly, I sort of agree with it. If you're going to be sick, or if you're weak, so and don't fast, even though it is a very important fast. It's a full day fast. What about taking medicine? Ask a Rav. What about if you forgot to eat? Don't say, oh yeah, okay, I forgot. That's it. I broke the fast. You can do it. No, continue fasting. Don't taste food. You may not taste food to say, was it good? Maybe there's going to be the meal after the fast. Huh? People are going to go home. They're going to want to eat. I'll just take a little taste of this stuff to see if it's good. Can't do it. Anyone below bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah, you do not have to fast. The custom is from 9 years old. Children fast a little bit, a few hours in the daytime, according to the child's ability. And by the way, anybody who wants to download this, you can download it. I can also send it to you as an attachment. Okay, what happens when you wake up in the morning? Wake up in the morning, don't wash your full hand up to the wrist. Rather, wash only up to the, the knuckles. What are they called? Phalanges. Oh, that's what they're called? The fingers. You can wash your whole entire finger up to the knuckles. He says, giving a tip, prepare the water a little bit differently to remind you. Okay. It is permissible to wipe your eyes with a towel that was moistened by your hands, especially if you wash your eyes out every morning from what do they call it? Sand from the sun. The stuff that gets in your eyes in the sleep. I used to have it when I was young. I don't have it anymore. Some people, when they wake up in the morning, they have little flakes or something in their eyes. So if you wash your eyes out with water all the time, you can do it on Tisha B'Av as well. After you get dressed, wash your hands again, make a bracha, again, only up to your knuckles, but you leave out one blessing. She'asali kol tzorchi. That says the blessing that's made on shoes. That referring to shoes. So you don't make that the whole day. You don't make it up afterwards. You don't have the blessing. Try if you can remember. Usually in most sidders, it says over that blessing in the morning. First of all, by the way, I'll tell you something. You should always make the blessings in the morning from a siddur. And generally, you should make all your blessings from a siddur. Also blessings after eating. Even brain afashos. But the morning blessings, especially, you're supposed to make it from a siddur. You're supposed to read it from a siddur. And I'm telling you from experience, if you read it from a siddur, you'll be surprised that there are certain words that you have not pronounced properly. And it could be you haven't been pronouncing them properly your whole life. Don't make the bracha asali kol tzorchi. Usually above that blessing, you look in the siddur, usually it's written in small letters. Do not make this blessing on Tisha B'Av and on Yom Kippur, because you're not wearing shoes. Talis and tefillin, don't wear them until after mincha. The Rebbe didn't used to, by the way. The Rebbe used to, and they used to daven, everybody's daven would put on tefillin on mincha late. And the Rebbe's wouldn't daven late. Also, you haven't got tzitzis on. Well, maybe you just should hold on to your tzitzis. No, don't hold on to your talis katan when you're saying tzitzis. The chazan, wow. The chazan should light candles as usual. What he does when in Shachris, only the chazan says, Anenu Hashem Anenu B'yom Tzam Tari Tanisenu Ki B'tzor Gadol Anachtu. That prayer, only the chazan says it. On mincha, you say it also. Therefore, a person who's not fasting, or for whatever reason it is, you have the corona, you have what is, it should not be a chazan, because you're going to have to say Anenu. And if you're not fasting, you don't say Anenu. If it could be that the chazan is in the unlikely event that the chazan has eaten, he's not fasting, or that there are less than 3 people in the crowd that are not fasting, in other words, everybody is eaten, Yom Kippur, then instead of saying Anenu prayer between Gol Yisrael, the chazan says it in Shema Kolenu. Okay, look in your siddur and you'll see what this is. What happened if the chazan forgot to say Anenu? Well, look here and find out, because you're probably not going to be chazans. But if you are, then look in the siddur, it'll explain what to do. The chazan does not recite the blessing of the Kohanim. In Shachris, there is no blessing of the Kohanim. Tachnun is also not said. Slichos, Avinu Malkeinu. You don't say anything. You don't say any of these because Tisha B'Av is a holiday. One who is not fasting should listen to the Kriyat Torah, but do not get called up for an aliyah. If you're not fasting, don't get called up to the Torah. What if there is no other Kohen and there is no other Levi? Leave the room until they start to read, right? Somebody else gets called up and make a blessing, then come in and listen. If you already got called up, I'm sorry. If you already got called up, then you can accept the aliyah and you can get called up to the Torah. But don't make a big deal out of it. A person who has already eaten, who is not keeping the fast, should not be a chazan. It also should not be the Baal Korah, unless no one else can do it. Then in the morning you say Kaddish between the last aliyah and the Haftorah. Then there's a Haftorah in the morning. Okay, then afterwards you bring the Sefer Torah back. Ready? Afterwards, in the daytime, you say keynote. In the daytime, keynote takes a long time. If you can understand it in English, say it in English. Maybe one of the most boring experiences you will ever have in your life is saying keynote, if you don't understand it. If you do understand it, then it becomes like the second most boring. But keynote is just all these poems that were written. And the fact is, if you can understand the Hebrew, they're very, very, sad, beautiful, incredibly well-written poems in Hebrew. But it's all talking about the destruction of the temple and how God has left us and please don't leave us and please come back. And it says, so let that be our suffering on Tisha B'Av, that we don't really understand it, but you should try as much as you can to finish if you can. Don't say keynote standing up. Sit down on a low chair. Don't have conversation, casual conversation, or other interruptions during the saying of keynote. Don't joke around. After you finish keynote, you finish davening. You say Ashrei, say Volatzion. When you say Volatzion, you don't say Va'ani Zot Briti. They say Aleinu. But everything else is postponed until Mincha time. Now, usually, if you buy one of these little keynote books, it says the whole thing there. Then after Uvolat Zion, like in the middle of you say Kaddish, but you don't say Titkabel. Kaddish, like, you say like a Kaddish Yatom. And it's a good thing after you say Kaddish, after you finish the keynote, if you can do it, you should read the book privately to yourself, Eicha again. If you have a Brit, do it after the keynote. Don't do it in the daytime. The parents can wear Shabbos clothes. The sandak, you can sit on a regular chair. This is talking about if it's done in the morning. Okay, Tisha B'Av in the afternoon. Of course, the meal, if there's a Brit or what, you make the meal in the nighttime after the fast. Just one more thing. If there's a Brit, you're supposed to make a blessing on a cup of wine. So it says, if it's a cup of wine, then give it to a child. The younger the child, the better. You can do it grape juice if you want. In the afternoon, things get a little bit more lenient. It's best to wait for midday in order to prepare. After midday, you can sit on a regular chair. You can sit on a regular chair. Unless you're still saying keynote. If you're still, you decide that's it. Mincha. At Mincha prayer, you put the parochet back to the regular place, the covering over the Aron HaKodesh. Mincha is a little bit longer than usual because you have Kriyas Torah on Mincha. So therefore, you have to take care to finish it before sunset. It's like a fast day, and you have the Kriyas Torah and the Haftorah. Before Mincha, put on your talis and tefillin, say the whole Shema. This will be finished by other things. Shir Shel Yom, all the things that it says. Try not to read the Torah before Mincha Gadola. Mincha Gadola, here he says, is 1:20 in the afternoon. Don't. And certainly don't start the Amida before then. Some people daven really late, and they put their tefillin on. Then.
Just a quick note of if you're putting on Rabbanu times, when do you put them on?
Same thing, after. You put
after what? After the
Rashi.
Full davening?
Yeah, after you.
Straight after the Rashis, you take your...
Right. Most people, what they do is they put on Rashi, and then they put on Rabbeinu Tam, and they daven Mincha. Some people daven Mincha in the Rabbeinu Tam.
Yes, okay. And then, all right.
But that's when it's done. A person who is not fasting, or he thinks that he won't be able to do, nevertheless, he should hear the reading of the Torah in the afternoon, but don't get called up. Just like we said before. Or if he's refusing, they call him up and he says, no, he doesn't want to get embarrassed. Okay, when the conversation says the word, he says, in the reading of the afternoon, like a regular fast day. the Baal Korah should not say these words together. Wait, let everybody say, and then you repeat. You know what I'm talking about? They read from Parshas Tisha about the when the Jews worship the golden calf. That is read every fast day. Every fast day. Usually it's read in the morning and the afternoon, but this is a special fast day. So after the Haftorah, you put the Torah back, and the Aron Kodesh say Kaddish. We don't do that. We say the Chazan says Kaddish while the Torah is being returned to the Aron Kodesh. That's what we do. When you read Mincha, then you're supposed to say the prayer Nachem. Remember the story they always tell about that the Arizal had a pupil that used to say Nachem every day, and he said it also in Lag BaOmer in Miron. He got punished. There's a prayer which is called Nachem Hashem. Here, let's see where it is. I'll show it to you 1 minute. Where is my... Said only in Mincha. 1 minute to read the Torah. Okay, in the prayer, B'nai Yerushalayim, let's see if I'm enough of a navigator here. Stop share. Good. Maybe I should do this other thing, but okay. See, here we have the prayer. Oh, let's do this. Here we have the prayer, Bonei Yerushalayim. Where is it? Here. Can we see? Yerushalayim ircha, Yerushalayim ircha barachamim tashuv. Right? It says, "Bnei osa b'yameinu binyan olam," and then you say Nachem. Here's the prayer Nachem. This is very difficult to do. Here we go. Nachem. You have to get this right and left. What I do here comes out the opposite on the screen. I move to the left on the screen and moves to the right. Nachem Hashem Elokeinu. See, Nachem. You say this prayer. What's the prayer you say Nachem? Right before you say Bonei Yerushalayim, right? Right before you in the middle of the prayer, Yerushalayim ircha barachamim tashuv. You say the prayer Nachem. What does Nachem mean? And please, God, comfort the mourners of Zion, the mourners of Yerushalayim, the city that is full of mourning and is destroyed, that has been disgraced and that lies barren. It is in mourning because it hasn't got any sons. It has been destroyed from all of its beautiful buildings. It has been disgraced from all of its glory. It is now laying desolate. There's no one dwelling there. Like a woman that's sitting and her hair is uncovered. Like a barren woman that has not given birth. And the legions of the foreign armies have destroyed it, and the idolaters have conquered it, and they took your people, God. They've taken your people to be slaughtered with the sword, and they have killed intentionally holy people. Therefore, Zion, I weep bitterly. And Jerusalem, raise your voice. My heart, over her dead bodies, over the corpses. My stomach, because of the corpses. Because you, God, have destroyed it with fire, and with fire you're going to rebuild it. Like it says, I will be for it, says God, a wall of fire around. What does it mean, fire? The Jewish people have to get excited about being Jews. Get excited. With fire, we'll rebuild it. And to the honor, I will be for honor within the Jewish people. Baruch atah Hashem, Menachem Tzion u'bnei Yerushalayim. That's the end of the prayer. And then we say, Etzemach David Abdecha Me'eretz Esmiach. That you say in Mincha. What if you, 1 minute, here we go. What if you forgot? What if you forgot to say this beautiful prayer, this tragically sad, in the right place? Well, you can say it in Shema Kolenu, right? Shema Kolenu Hashem Elokeinu. You can say it there. If you forgot it, then you can say Ratzei Hashem Elokeinu before you say Techazen Enenu. Or you forgot then also, you can say Modim Anachtu Lach right before you say Va'al Kulam Yisparech Vishpam Yisnasei Shimcha Tamim Kol HaChaim Yidu Chasela before you say Va'al Kulam. In any case, you say the conclusion of the bracha as usual. Don't add Menachem Tzion Ubonei Yerushalayim. What if you forgot the whole thing? Tisha B'Av. You forgot to say the Nachem prayer in Mincha. Don't worry. Say it next year. Well, next year I hope you won't say it. Next year the base of Mikdash will be built. Maybe we'll say it. It'll have a different meaning. Could be. What if you forgot to say Anenu and Shema Kolenu? Anenu Hashem Anenu. Yom Tzant. You say on a regular fast day. Say it in Elokein Nitzar L'Shan. Right before the second Yehi Ratzon. If you didn't remember then you don't repeat the Almidah. In other words, these additions that you say in the prayer are very important, but they are not essential. A person that's not fasting should still say the Nachem prayer, but it doesn't say Anenu. Anenu is the prayer you say in Shema Kolenu. Here, let me show you, everyone, just so that you'll know what we're talking about over here. Here we have. Here, see? I got to turn this whole thing off. Here we go. Ready? Watch this. Stop share. Here we go. Shema Kolenu Hashem Elokeinu. Here it is. Shema Kolenu Hashem Elokeinu. Av Rachaman Rachem Aleinu. You can see, right? Kabel Barachim Ratzon Asifilas Enkiyesh made it called Peh. Umilfanecha Malkeinu Rekam Al Teshivenu. Hoop. Now you say this prayer here. Anenu. This you say every fast day. Anenu Hashem Anenu B'Yom Tzom Tanisenu. Answer us, God. Answer us the day of our fasting because we're in great pain, great difficulty. Don't look at the sins we've done. Please don't cover your face from us. Don't turn your face from us. Don't hide yourself from our requests. Be close to our screams, our cries. Please be kind and comfort us. Before we call out to you, God, answer us like it says, and it will be before they will call out, I will answer them. The Jews will still be speaking, and I will already hear what they say, because you, God, answer at difficult times. You save and you redeem the Jewish people at difficult times. This you're supposed to say every fast day. Every fast day, you're supposed to say it. What if you forgot to say it? Say it later on. Okay, what if you're not, it says, what if you forgot it totally? Forgot it. What can you do? It doesn't negate your prayers. You don't have to say the prayers over again. A person who's not fasting says this, does not say this Anenu prayer I just said before, but he does say the Nachem prayer that's only said on Tisha B'Av. The Chazan, he repeats Anenu after Gol Yisrael. You'll see if you're the Chazan, people will tell you what to do. According to the Chabad custom, a person who is a Chiyuv, who is within the year of the passing of his parents, says the usual Mishnayos, even though you're not supposed to learn Torah, but we do. People who weren't Oh, here we go. People who wear Rabbeinu Tam tefillin, some people put them on after mincha and recite the usual. So some people, they put on the regular tefillin and daven mincha with regular tefillin, and after they put on the regular tefillin, they put on Rabbeinu Tam. I've seen people, right, put the regular tefillin on and then Rabbeinu Tam and daven mincha and Rabbeinu Tam. Okay. You have to be sure you put on your tefillin before sunset. What is sunset? 20 minutes to 8, 7:41. If you daven with a meaning that's only after, then do Rabbeinu Tam before mincha. The fast finishes at 8:06. You should wash your whole hand, the complete hand, up to the wrist, and wash out your mouth immediately after Ma'ariv. Say, afterwards, say Kiddush Levana. Some people say you shouldn't make Kiddush Levana until you've eaten. Here, see? Ideally, one should first change into leather shoes, rinse your face, freshen up, taste a little something, and then say Kiddush Levana. But if no one's going to wait, usually they don't, they say Kiddush Levana with everyone after Tisha B'Av. The Beis HaMikdash was set on fire on the afternoon of the 9th of afternoon. And it burned until the 10th of Av. Therefore, the custom is to make all the restrictions namely, don't have a haircut, don't bathe, don't wear freshly laundered clothing or do your laundry until midday of the 10th of Av, Friday. Right? Wrong, because this 10th of Av is Friday, Erev Shabbos. Since it is Erev Shabbos, the following Shabbat preparations may be done from the morning. Haircuts, bathing, it's a little bit misleading when it says following Shabbat. Because it's Erev Shabbos, it just should say, take out these words, the preparations may be done from the morning, haircuts, etc. Friday morning, do whatever you want to, but the nighttime not. So don't take a bath, Motzei, the holiday. The 15th of Av, we don't say Tachnun. Friday, don't say Tachnun. The 15th of Av. Tu B'Av. Do not say Tachnun on the 15th of Av or on Mincha the day before, etc., because that's the only thing we do to celebrate the 15th of Av. Happiest day of the year, greatest holiday, and the only way we celebrate it is by not saying Tachnun. The 15th of Av is next Wednesday, 15th day of Av. So be happy, everyone. God bless you all. Have an easy fast. I would like to give everybody a little bit of advice, and that is the last thing you do, at least for me it always works, take a spoonful of honey. Take a spoonful of honey. For some reason I cannot figure out why, but it makes the whole fast much easier. The last thing you eat, spoonful of honey. Maybe if it's too sweet, you want to wash out your mouth. Anyway, that's what you do. And pray for Mashiach. We need Mashiach desperately. And we'll see each other all on Friday morning, 8:15, Friday morning, we'll learn Chassidut. 8:15, Friday morning, we will learn Chassidut. Hope to see you all then. Have an easy fast. God bless you all.
Some call.
Any questions?